What is up, guys? Fadeaway82 coming at you with a weekly Rust update video. The Sentry Turret will be added into the game tomorrow, so you guys can expect to see that live on Rust servers tomorrow. Before we go ahead and get into that, let's talk about the new signs that have been added into Rust. 13 new sign variants have been added into the game. That's right, 13 signs have been added in to allow you guys to better express yourself, draw penises, give information to your allies, your enemies, whatever you want. The different sign variations range from portrait frames to metal signs to road signs, and they're very varied, and some are two-sided, some are one-sided. They all have about 50 health at this point in time, so keep in mind they are relatively weak in their current iteration. If you guys want to go ahead and find these signs, most of them you're going to have to find by hitting barrels and finding the blueprints. Some are more common than others. Two will be default blueprints. They're going to be the single portrait sign and the one arrow road sign. In terms of painting these, the same mechanics apply to the existing signs. You simply click on them and then you can draw to your heart's content. And if you guys want to go ahead and take note here, there's also some large banners that have been placed here, which aren't necessarily signs, but they're banners that can hang off your base. And you can see the scale of that when you look at the electrical tower in the background. And now we're taking a look at some of the signs with some content put on there by Baba Yaga from the US Rustopia server. He painted all of these signs with the exception of Gary's child labor slave camp and the sign that says that Rust development is made with the tears of children. In terms of these signs, guys, the value of them is somewhat subjective. Like all art, it is a bit subjective, but Baba Yaga told me that the signs serve a greater purpose on the servers and they allow players to barter, to trade their artwork for things of value, and it's a really interesting emerging gameplay dynamic in Rust. And now we're going ahead and taking a closer look at the Sentry Turret or the Auto Turret. We did an in-depth look at this, guys, last week when it was live on the dev server, so check that video out for more information. But what is stayed the same is it still costs 1 assault rifle, 50 high quality metal, 1 CCTV camera, and 1 tracking computer in order to go ahead and make it. The CCTV camera and the tracking computer elements can only be found from the downed helicopter or from a supply drop. You can't find it from hitting barrels, so these turrets are not going to be very common. You're not going to see them flooding the server. A lot of people were very nervous about that when it was first talked about. So in terms of these items, guys, keep in mind that it still takes 5.56 ammo, the standard rounds. It doesn't use the incendiary or the explosive rounds at this point in time. That may change in the future. And what has changed with it is that it now has a blue arrow when you go ahead and place it, and it's going to tell you which direction it's going to be facing when you place it. That was much needed. When it places down, if you're not happy with the direction that it's targeting in, you can go ahead and rotate that so that it will target players in a different direction. It still has a 180-degree firing radius, and you still have to be able to authorize yourself on it so that it doesn't go ahead and attack you, similar to the building authorization on a tool cabinet. Now, last week, guys, a lot of you were very concerned about this, saying that you thought it was going to be a detriment to servers or something like that. And I can tell you this from testing it for the better part of a week, that it's really a well-balanced item at this point in time. A lot could change, but right now it is a bit of a glass cannon. It's very powerful, but it's also very delicate. So if it runs out of ammo, it's not hard to take it down with melee weapons, with bullets, and one C4 will go ahead and take it out. In terms of the ammo, it shreds through the ammo pretty quick, so if you guys go ahead and put ammo in there, it will use that very quickly, and you want to, at this point, use it mostly in terms of base defenses, to protect your loot rooms, to protect corridors in your bases. That's where it's going to be used. You can see here that it targets players very closely, so it's pretty much spot on, and it's very deadly. People were nervous they'd see it on beaches shredding nakeds, and it can be placed on beaches, but I don't think you're going to see that because it's such a hard item to acquire and craft. People aren't going to go ahead and waste it. It'd also be very hard to keep ammo stocked in if it was placed on a beach. It can be placed right now underwater. This will likely change in the future, so this footage probably won't hold true in the future. But as of right now, it could be placed underwater, so be aware it could be incorporated into a water-based design or just be in the water. So heads up on that, guys, when it goes live tomorrow. And as we saw in last week's update video, rocks can now be thrown in Rust. This is really cool, guys, because the rock has always been an iconic aspect of Rust, and being able to throw it just makes so much sense. It's really cool to get chased by a pack of nakeds and stoned to death now, so that is really awesome. In terms of what's changed, the rock has received a bit of a nerf since we looked at it last week. The headshots no longer automatically wound and down the player, and the rock damage has been reduced, so it no longer does about 30 damage to the body, and it's looking to be more in like the 15 damage range at this point in time. In addition, you can now throw certain tools in the game. Specifically, you can throw the stone hatchet, the stone pickaxe, and the normal hatchet, just the way that you can throw the rock. This is really awesome and adds to the atmosphere of Rust, and again, it just makes so much sense to be able to go ahead and do that. When you go ahead and throw these items, they will stick into whatever you're throwing it, if it's a person or a stationary item, and you can go ahead and reacquire those by hitting E to pick them back up. It's just like the throwing spear, it makes a lot of sense. You can use them in combat, just like we were using the rock, and it's hard to be able to really predict where they're going to go, especially on a moving target. The range on them seems to be a little bit better than the rock. They are lighter, so that makes a little bit more sense, but they're very hard to aim, and you guys want to be aware that in terms of how you position your mouse is going to affect where it's going to land. So if you go ahead and look up and throw it, it's going to go a little bit higher. If you go ahead and look sort of straight on, it's going to have more of a drop to it. So it's something you're going to have to experiment with, and it's close to the way that the spears work, but again, a little bit different. You can see here that a player is trying to hit the bullseye here, and he's maneuvering his shots to be able to get exactly where he wants to be. The barricades have received some attention in this week's version of Rust, and you're going to notice they're going to be used a lot more frequently by players. They have reduced crafting time. You can now carry them in stacks of 10, so you can carry 10 at a time as opposed to having them built individually and taking up individual slots in your inventory. The one here that's going to be the most viable option on the combat field, and it's going to be used most by players, is the Sandbag Barricade. It now offers 1.5 meters of protection, and it's much higher in terms of the height of it than it was previously. You can see here with the character model, and it's going to be used on the combat field similar to the way that the stone walls and the high exterior wood walls are currently used. Go ahead, place it down on the fly, duck down behind it, shoot, and I think it offers more of a tactical advantage because it's less predictable than the stone walls or the high wood walls. With those walls, you pretty much have to look out one of the corners, so players have two ways of predicting where you're going to pop out of. With this, you can look up over it, you can also go out the sides of it, so it's a less predictable manner and offers more tactical viability for people who are on the move. Go ahead and place one down, then place another one down to advance your position. Be aware, guys, it is affected by building privilege, so keep that in mind. And the half block has been removed from the crafting wheel, so you guys are no longer going to be able to make raid towers that go up into the sky, be able to grief faces with that half block, or be able to defend against your raid by placing it down and walling off a doorway. This is something, guys, that people are a little bit butthurt over, so it is a bit of a contentious point right now, but all in all, it's probably for the best that it was removed from the game, and I think we'll see some more options in the future to be able to add back some of the functionality that we were missing from that. The tool cupboard has received some changes as well, and it can no longer be deployed in a radius of another cupboard. It has sort of a line of sight radius, and even if you have building privilege, you can only place one cupboard within a certain range. So this is going to mix things up quite a bit, guys. I'm interested to see how this plays out exactly, and we'll certainly study it over the next week, but it's going to be a big game changer, and it's going to be something you guys really want to be on top of. The rain effects received a bit of an overhaul. You're going to notice increased performance. It's going to look a lot better. There's going to be air bubbles underwater, as well as bullet tracers when the bullets fly through the water. Footprints are going to be popping up in the snow biome and also the desert biome. You'll be able to tell too if a Newman's wearing boots or if he's barefoot. And as we wrap things up here, I wanted to dedicate this week's Rust update video to the half block. We will miss your impossible to raid elevator bases and your raid towers that defy the laws of gravity. As always, guys, really hope you enjoyed this week's Rust update video. I had a lot of fun making it. Fado82, peace.